We'd heard that Fez had a more relaxed vibe compared to the crazy energy of Marrakech, but it still blew us away. And guess what? The hospitality and kindness we got here started the moment we stepped into our riad. Fez is less commercialized, and that's what makes it so special. We're sharing our top picks for things to do here, and if you're a fan of ancient ruins, you'll love our day trip to Volubilis and the imperial city of Meknes. Oh, and don't forget, we're sharing all the prices we paid during our 18-day stay. I'm Judy.
And I'm Kevin. Welcome back to Finding Gina Marie, where we share our lives as full-time travelers and the connections we make along the way.
After our underwhelming riad experience in Marrakech, we immediately were impressed with our riad here in Fez. The common area was nicer, our room was much bigger, and the rooftop seating was very comfortable with a much more impressive view.
Okay.
And normally it takes me like 20 minutes from the house to the Tombeau Mérinite.
We loved the hearty daily breakfasts that were included in the price. It was a great start to our day to not have to find or figure out food. Every day, our host served yogurt, hard-boiled eggs, some sort of mixed fresh fruit, tea, coffee, an assortment of breads and local pastries, jams, honey, and Morocco's version of laughing cow cheese wedges. If Fez is one of your first stops in Morocco, you'll need to get cash. One tip we learned is to use Western Union to send money to yourself, which should help you avoid ATM and conversion fees. We had to go to a Cash Plus location because the smaller Western Union shops didn't have enough cash on hand. Marrakech has its frenetic Jbel Zalagh Square, and Fez has its Blue Gate, Babo Jeloud. While it's an entryway into the Fez El Bali Medina, the oldest walled part of Fez built before 808 AD, it's also a meeting place for tours and a convenient spot for catching taxis. So we're here in Fez, right outside the Blue Gate, which is the entrance to the Medina. Now, it's very intricately carved, looks quite cool, but it's actually built in 1913, so it's not as old as it looks. But this is the gateway to the Medina, and it's where you're going to find all kinds of souks, markets where they're selling anything imaginable here.
Yeah, and the streets are very narrow. It's not like where we were in Marrakech, where there was a lot of traffic going down the streets. These are pretty much just shops and pedestrians walking through. There's an occasional cart, but it's a pretty nice controlled area, and you can get through pretty easily.
Yeah, and just to be clear, you said cart, not car. So
Cart, yes.
Yeah.
Push cart.
Head into the Medina for the first time, and you'll notice its blue color, which represents sky, the heavens, protection, and spirituality in Islamic culture. But when you leave the Medina, the interior tiles are green, symbolizing life, fertility, and prosperity. Don't worry, it's the same gate. We think the best choices for accommodations are inside the Medina near the Blue Gate. Many of the restaurants that we liked were either on the way to the Blue Gate or just outside of it. We loved the location of our riad Dar Hayati and happily recommend it. There are plenty of mini-marts for bottled water and restaurants within quick walking distance. We were a little surprised that Fez isn't as flat as Marrakech, so our walks toward the Blue Gate were an uphill climb. With 9,454 cobbled alleyways and 300 mosques, one for each neighborhood, the Medina of Fez is considered one of the most extensive and best preserved historic towns in the Arab Muslim world. It's also an urban car-free zone, which gave it a much different feel from Marrakech. While there's still an occasional motorbike, most were being walked through the Medina, so we didn't have to deal nearly as much with motorbike fumes. There were significantly fewer tourists walking the twisty streets and more locals shopping. Fez gets approximately 1/3 of the tourists that Marrakech has. That also meant that there wasn't as much organization on its footpaths. People didn't necessarily walk on the right like we were constantly told to do in Marrakech. Instead, it was common to see groups of people taking up the entire width of the paths, which made it hard to scoot around some slow walkers. But there was also less dust and more shade, making our walks less exhausting. If you stick to the main paths, getting around is fairly straightforward.
You got your own plan there, guy?
Yep.
I saw
know.
somebody up ahead, but still.
Yeah.
He could go whichever way he wanted.
Sure, I guess.
Turn right around.
Yeah. Yeah, Scalia. Hill. Yep. That makes sense.
But when we veered off them, we noticed there were many more twists and turns and smaller, less populated streets in the Fez Medina than Marrakech. So we could see how it could be easier to get lost here. And of course, in those sections, neither Google or Apple Maps worked.
And a bird? Think they'll let a bird on the plane? I don't think so.
We were surprised that we could get delicious midday cappuccinos here, and they were quite good. We typically ended up at Restaurant Al Oud. The waiter there was so incredibly kind and started preparing our order the moment we sat down.
Thank you. Thank you.
Really are so kind.
Oh, thank you. You're kind too.
Time with my pleasure.
We were overcome by how friendly some of the waitstaff were in the restaurants we visited. Just outside the Blue Gate is Fez and Friends. Our server gave us a bunch of background about harira soup, and their recipe was one of my favorites during our entire time in Morocco. Can you tell us again what these are?
So the shabakia is Moroccan candies. It's famous in Morocco. Maybe it's the one of famous one. So in Moroccan culture, Ramadan, always the harira served with shabakia and dates. Always. It's like attitude or habits. So it's make it from almond, make it from wheat, honey, and honey make it that one sweet. Okay.
Yes.
And it's so good. Tasty and flavorful at the same time. Maybe you will like it, maybe
Yes,
not.
I did. It's very sweet, but I could appreciate Ramadan. You probably want this sugar going straight.
Maybe you eat 4 or 5 pieces. It depends. You know. Yeah.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you so
I'm glad
much.
that you liked it. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I had forgotten that the harissa soup is also something that's popular during Ramadan. At the end of our meal, our waiter offered us a complimentary local dessert, but we were too stuffed to accept it. Coming up, we'll show you everything we did here, but note that while Fez might not have as many famous tourist spots as Marrakech, it more than makes up for it with its rich cultural and educational history, its warm and friendly people, and its ancient traditional authenticity. Marrakech is hectic and focuses more on lively tourist attractions and entertainment, which makes it feel more commercial. It has a bigger nightlife scene as well. We are glad we got to experience both, but we'd probably choose Fez over Marrakech if we return to Morocco. It's a great place to spend time if you want to get out of the Schengen zone, and it's worth seeing for a vacation too. We'll share at the end what we paid for our entire 41 days in Morocco. If you've been to both cities, which do you prefer? People in the souks frequently offered to show us the leather tannery, which would have required a tip, but we made our way there ourselves without an issue. You can view the entire process through one of the rooftop lookout points. We went to Terrasse de Tannery 10. You first walk through their shop of leather goods, of course, and someone then hands you a sprig of mint. That's because the methods they use include a pretty repulsive and pungent combination of lime, excrement, ash, and cow urine. Unfortunately, the mint leaves aren't magic leaves and don't do much to hide the smell. The Chouara Tannery is one of the oldest in the world. It's unique because it has operated for over 1,000 years, using ancient methods that have been virtually unchanged. The lime can cause burns on the worker's skin, and there are other strong chemicals that can even cause cancer. But this artisanal work has been passed down for so long that many of the workers can't imagine doing anything else. The colorful dye pits are one of the things that draw people here, and you can see the hides being dyed using natural ingredients such as plant extracts, minerals, and various pigments. The work is labor-intensive and fairly unpleasant, and not particularly safe. You can see the workers immersed in the dye regardless of the weather. A typical worker makes less than $300 per month, and each tannery supports 300 families. When you buy a leather product here, you aren't just buying a belt, a purse, or a pair of shoes. You're buying a piece of history that has been centuries in the making. Originally established as a mosque, Al Qaraouiyne University was founded in 859 AD before evolving into a university. It's the oldest continuously run university in the world. Many notable scholars have studied or taught here. It still has a functioning mosque though, so non-Muslim visitors are not allowed inside the grounds.
So it's a little disappointing that you can't actually go in and look at the interior of the oldest university. And fortunately, some people directed us.
We overheard a guide selling a tour group, and it's through a like a rug shop.
And they were very nice. They allowed you to go through. Of course, the hope is that you're going to stop by, hear their spiel, maybe buy something. But it is very cool that it's so interconnected. And this is a great view of the entire city from up here. And you do get to look inside the courtyard of the university, which is still beautiful, like they all are here.
Good thing we bumped into the tour group. Keep your eyes and ears open when you're in Medina.
Near to Al Qaraouiyne University is La Medersa Al-Attarine, built specifically to be an Islamic school. It's worth a visit to appreciate its stunning tile work, intricate wood carvings, and beautifully painted ceilings. It features classrooms, prayer areas, and a secluded courtyard for studying.
This is a smaller Medersa than what we've seen previously, and it's only 2 stories. There's a prayer hall and then student quarters up on the second level.
The Medersa Bou Inania is another Islamic school founded in 1351. It's known for its exquisite craftsmanship and intricate decoration. It's considered a masterpiece of Moroccan architecture.
I'm used to seeing the intricate carvings in the stucco, but this wood is even more intricate. Lots of little pieces and just amazing. Of course, the stucco's here too, and beautiful as always. Moroccan artisans are amazing people. So we've just been by this. Didn't even know you could just pay for inexpensive 20 dirham tickets or so and come on in.
Well, it is a little bit misleading because it looks like maybe you're not allowed in because there's a gate locking you out.
Yeah.
But there's tickets that you can get that are off to the right-hand side.
Right.
And if you don't realize that, you think, oh, this is not a place that you're allowed, especially because you could see from the outside that it does look like a mosque.
Yeah.
When you found the Medersa Bou Inania, you might want to look across the street and see the rich history of the science and engineering evidenced in the hydraulic clock constructed in the 14th century. It's designed with a series of bowls and wooden beams that once allowed it to measure time based on the flow of water. If you didn't know its history, it would be easy to think it's just an interesting architectural element. Natural wear, exposure to the weather, lack of maintenance, and the development of more reliable mechanical clocks are a few of the reasons this clock fell out of use. Now all that remains is the facade, but it continues to be an impressive landmark showcasing Moroccan ingenuity. On our way here, we came across some of the vibrant and colorful rainbow street art, an urban beautification project for artists to share traditional stories, often using Moroccan motifs with modern styling. Because we were staying at our riad for 18 days, our host generously provided us with a traditional family dinner one night while we were there.
What fancy restaurant are we in tonight?
The fanciest. So we're here at our riad, which is Dar Hayati, and we're going to be enjoying this delicious homemade dinner. So we're very excited to be finding out what everything is and tasting it all. With lamb,
Yeah.
okay?
Okay.
Great.
It is cooking with the sugar and the cinnamon.
Excuse me. Yes. So what we have here is marinated olives and then spicy olives. This is an eggplant dish, and next to it is a dish with peppers and tomatoes, and then the other one is cucumbers and tomatoes. And our main course is a lamb dish. Of course, there's always going to be fresh bread, so everything
No
looks
shortage
amazing.
of that. Yeah, it's gorgeous. So we were very full, but there's still more dessert, not just the fruit.
Not that we needed more, but it's quite tasty. with a little drizzle of honey, certainly some cinnamon, maybe some cardamom. I don't know, maybe nutmeg. Quite tasty. Really, really good.
And he did let us know that the fruit on the dinner was quince, which makes sense because it did have a different texture than pear, but similar flavor.
By the end of October, they should be out of them, and so very seasonal.
Right, which is nice. I mean, that's what's been pleasant about our travels. Most places we go outside the U.S., food is seasonal. You get what's in season, and that's the freshest food.
Exactly.
You know, I have reminded that there's a drizzle of honey on one of the things here. I'm not usually the person that sits at home going, hey, I'll have some honey with my meal, but Morocco, not bad. Yeah.
We were overwhelmed with the generosity of this offer, and it was such a treat to eat the way a family would in a Moroccan home. We were a little under the weather the day we visited Jbel Zalagh, so we didn't stay long. It's a prominent hill that's great to hike and watch the sunset or even a sunrise if you can get out there early enough. And because it overlooks the city, you can get some really great photos here. Nestled on the hill are Marinid tombs that were built in the 14th century. Unfortunately, they're now in ruins. They're the burial sites for members of the Marinid royal family, including sultans and nobles. The heart of Fez is its people versus a long list of landmarks to visit. But that's why a day trip to see Volubilis and Meknes is so worthwhile.
While we're here in Fez, we thought it would be a great idea to take a day trip. And so we're heading to Volubilis and Meknes. And it's a full day. We're excited to see everything that's there to explore.
Yeah, it's been about an hour and a half away from here. So we get a little bit of a ride first.
I'm going to be in Volubilis to see the ruin of 2,000 years of Rome. A stop of 1 hour and 30 minutes, so you can have your free time inside. The one who they have a local guide, you will have a 1 hour.
Judy suggested we be amongst the gourds. I think it makes us more gorgeous.
I don't know about that.
So the plant's
a massive plant.
No, it's not that big.
It is big.
Sure.
Volubilis was a bustling city that was founded in the 3rd century BC. The Romans were determined to control trade routes and resources in the area, so they expanded their territory to include what now are parts of modern-day Morocco. We loved seeing the ancient ruins and the intricate mosaics here. Wear good walking shoes because the paths are stony. It's not an ideal location if you have limited mobility. Meknes has been around since the 11th century and became the capital of Morocco in the late 17th century. It's a UNESCO site because of its historical importance and well-preserved monuments. It was an additional fee, but we enjoyed Dar Hayati, the music museum here. The main square reminded us of Jbel Zalagh in Marrakech. We'll put a link in the description to the tour we took. Kevin ordered the kefta tagine for many of our dinners in Morocco, so it was a nice surprise that some of the kefta here in Fez had a little more spice and heat than those in Marrakech.
So it's 4:15 and we just finished what I would consider dinner at El Forno here. And I want to just say that it was really great food, but most of all, the people were so kind. They played some great blues music. Cappuccinos were wonderful after our meal.
Excellent.
Everything was very tasty. The one thing that was surprising was that the hummus was actually served hot, which I've never had before, but it was very good.
A little tagine lid on it. You know?
I think just overall, if you're looking for a really cozy place in the heart of the Medina, highly recommend.
Yeah, very good. So far, we're very happy with the food offerings here in Fez.
And we loved the food and staff at Tiffanyar, and Le Cave too. We highly recommend these places if you visit.
Cheers.
Are there things you want to know about our time in Morocco that we didn't share in our 4-episode video series from here? Let us know in the comments and we'll do our best to cover them for you. So what did we pay? Our accommodations at Dar Hayati were $1,067.26 for 18 days, or $59.29 per night, and that total included breakfast and one complimentary dinner. Between eating at restaurants, bottled water, and a few snacks, we spent $267.59, which ends up being $14.87 per day, or $7.43 per person per day. I had to leave the Medina to get my hair colored, and that cost me $79.55 with tip. The salons in the Medina only had boxed hair color. The round-trip petite taxi cost $14.66, but I ended up spending a little bit more than necessary because I didn't have change. Tourist tips and all of our entry fees cost a total of $175.52, or $87.76 per person. Of that price, our Volubilis Meknes day trip was $85.73, and an entry fee to the Dar Jamai Museum of Music, specialized tour guides, and tips were an additional $69.90 for a total of $155.63, or $77.82 per person. So our grand total for 18 days in Fez was $1,604.58, which breaks down to be $89.14 per day, or only $44.57 per person per day. Our 21 days in Marrakech cost us $69.80 per person per day, which meant that Fez ended up being a more affordable city for us. To wrap up the prices for our entire Morocco series, we spent 41 days in Morocco, 3 weeks in Marrakech, 2 nights in the Sahara Desert, and 18 days in Fez. Our grand total for this country was $5,556, which breaks down to $135.51 per day, or $67.76 per person per day.
Thank you so much for watching. We hope you enjoyed this episode. And the best compliment that you can give to us is to recommend our videos to your friends and family.
Check out findinggenuineness.com. We have all our downloads, our forum, and more information.
Until next time.
Until next time.